What's up everybody, this is Whisky in the 6, I'm Rob. Today I'm comparing the color of these two Springbank 5-year-old 100 proofs. One came out in 2023, the other in 2024. March 2023 is the light bourbon barrel looking one, fresh bourbon barrel. And the fresh sherry came out in October of 2024. All right, both 5 years old. The fresh bourbon cask is 57.1%. And the fresh sherry is also 57.1%. 1,900 bottles for the fresh sherry and 2166 for the fresh bourbon. All right, so does color matter? To a lot of us it does. Unfortunately, the color of something attracts us. There have been many people that learn the hard way that sometimes a sherry cask is less trustworthy than a fresh bourbon cask. Okay, but before we get into nosing and tasting both of these and telling you which one is better, I want to quickly talk about BSW. Still available is the 15 from Whisky in the 6 promo code. Honestly, the sales alone on that website are incredible. I've talked about them a dozen times before. Just want to reiterate, tons of stuff on sale, tons of Gordon MacPhail stuff on sale, tons of Glenallachie stuff on sale, tons of tequila if you like tequila. It's summer months, a lot of people prefer tequila. There's a ton of tequila on sale right now, including the Grand Mayan Anejo Reposado. It's the really nice circular bottles that are made of what looks like clay. Really nice bottle. And it's on sale for like 30% off. So you can get it for like $100 the Anejo, which is an excellent price in my opinion. Stuff like this, unfortunately, you may not be able to find. Springbank obviously is really hard to get these days, especially Springbank Society release stuff. You obviously have to be a member for it to begin with, but lots of stuff available on sale. And then if it's not on sale and it's not super limited, you can use my promo code 15 from Whisky in the 6. I'll leave the link to BSW below as well as the promo code, just so that you can copy and paste it. All right, on to these Springbanks. Let's start with the bourbon cask because it came out in 2023. Also, this is a Patreon review for Neil and Jennifer, so thank you very much for the request, and here we go with the review. So I've had this bourbon cask for a long time, and I rarely go back to it, which is unfortunate. I have too much on my shelf, and to be honest, when I'm alone and I'm having a dram, the rare occasional time that I'm not doing a Whisky in the 6, it's usually not a cask strength anymore. I tend to lean towards something 46%, just an easy sipper. Cask strength kind of is a little too intense for my night to night thing, unless I'm doing a review, of course. But wow, the nose on this fresh bourbon cask is awesome. Lots of fresh mango, honey, there's like a hay note in there as well, like straw. Very sweet. A little bit of banana as well. Okay, on the nose for the sherry cask, obviously you're getting your darker fruits. Definitely a little spicier. No sulfur whatsoever, which is nice. And that's, I think, the big thing when it comes to bourbon cask versus sherry cask. I tend to lean sherry cask unless, of course, the sherry cask is sulfured, all right? And that kind of really throws me off. There's certain distilleries that I will choose a bourbon cask from over a sherry cask because their sherry casks tend to have that sulfur note that I don't like. Deanston being one of them. I rarely ever get that from Springbank, so I have no fear in buying a sherry cask Springbank. But Deanston's a prime example of a distillery that I would be a little bit more worried about to get sherry. Tobermory is another one. Okay, I would probably worry about the sherry casks that I get from Tobermory, whereas you get a bourbon cask Tobermory, it's going to be fantastic. Deanston, same thing. Bourbon cask, it's always going to be good. You do have to worry a little bit about their sherry. You don't have to worry when it comes to Springbank. So for me, if it's Springbank, the color matters. Okay, on the palate for the bourbon cask. So definitely has some youthful, spirity punch. It's not hot, but it's borderline. It's getting there. Okay, it's definitely got a punch. Great flavor profile though. Definitely that hay, banana, honey sweetness trickles through onto the palate. I definitely don't get the Springbank funk much on the bourbon cask, which is kind of strange. You would expect it more from a 5-year-old bourbon cask. But yeah, I definitely don't get it. So good though. A little hot, which would probably bring the mark down a little bit for me. Let's see how the sherry compares. Nose is opening incredibly for the sherry cask. Took a little longer than the bourbon cask. Lots of dark fruit. Nice espresso note there. A little bit of like a molasses note kind of as well. Yeah, rich dark chocolate, molasses, something like dark fruit like, but can't really pin it. Molasses keeps coming to mind, and I'm trying to think what fruit could it kind of be compared to. I'm thinking dates, that really sweet flavor of dates, that dark fruit sweetness. I have a little bit of seasonal allergies today, so it's more like a cough than a congestion, but so this is tough because let's talk secondary market real quick here. If I were to put either of these up on secondary market, the bourbon cask one wouldn't go for nearly as much in my opinion. You could probably get $300 for the bourbon cask, whereas the sherry cask you're probably looking at more like $500. Quality in the glass, this is where it matters. Both have a spirity fight to them. They're both young. They're both high ABV, 57.1%. The bourbon cask is a little bit more fresh tasting. You got your fresh fruit, some tropical fruit, fresh cut hay, honey. The sherry cask tastes more on the molasses, dates, dessert-like flavors. I would say there's some good notes on the palate too for the dark sherry. But again, the like espresso, dark chocolate, dates, molasses in that zone. Not a ton of like fresh fruit. And I wouldn't even say it's very fruity at all. So depending on what you like, perhaps this is more of your summer Scotch from Springbank, and this one's more of a winter Scotch from Springbank. Both very good. I'm gonna give one more sip of each and give a mark. I'd have to give this one an 87. The bourbon cask is really, really good. And the value on these are great. If if you can get them retail, they're, I believe, around 90 bucks. There's nothing really off-putting about the sherry cask. But for whatever reason, I'm definitely leaning more toward the bourbon cask. My eyes always gravitate toward the darker Scotch, but flavor profile, once tasted, often leans towards the bourbon cask influence. So it's funny how that works. Gonna give the 2024 sherry a 86. I do think it's about a point difference. That being said, the bourbon cask has been open for a lot longer, so not entirely fair. This one will probably open up over the next half a year to a year. I never gas my cask strength whiskeys, and I don't think you need to be honest with you. It's very rare. Maybe like when it gets to 1/3 of the bottle or 1/4 of the bottle, you could start gassing. But that's it. 87, 86, both excellent. Color does matter, unfortunately, for the buyer, but when it comes to taste, usually color is irrelevant. That's it for me, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really like the video, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, you can hit the bell to get notifications when I do release videos. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Facebook Messenger. Cheers.